Hey everyone, this is me, TimeLiarG, and welcome to another Mysteries, Oddities, Rumors, and Trivia video. This time it's about Dark Souls 2. I want to make a continuation with my Dark Souls 1 video though for a moment. I had a few comments telling me about different topics to speak on. Some of these I've already known, some of them I didn't. Hopefully they're going to be new to you though. You can learn some interesting stuff about Dark Souls 1 again before we start with the Dark Souls 2 topics. So let's get right into it. By the way, I wanted to thank everyone for the absurd amount of likes you gave on the previous video, so if you like this video, feel free to like it, and I will continue making videos just like this one. Really appreciate it. One of the other comments I got on my previous video was from Steampunk Burrito, who mentioned that there's invisible trees in the Duke's Archives courtyard that still have collision. So I went there to go check, and I walked around for an embarrassing amount of time. It was almost a half hour. It was around 20 minutes or so. And I just could not find these invisible trees. And I didn't doubt them, like I knew that they were there, I just couldn't really see them. And I looked it up online, apparently they're actually floating in the sky like the Duke's Archive door. I didn't know about this one, so there's just invisible trees floating up there. I assume that the developers were, obviously being rushed towards the end of the development of the game. You see Lost Izalith and everything, and you just know that's what happened. Later half of the game when you get the Lord Vessel, obviously all that stuff is pretty rushed. So I just assumed that the developers were rushed and they just kind of left these here, just like the door. Another commenter named Merca had a few mysteries and oddities to mention as well, like being able to kill Lautrec twice in the same playthrough, which I didn't know about. And there was also another thing I didn't know about either. Apparently some hackers on the PS3 version of the game were able to put King of Lance Soul Drain effect on weapons in PvP, and just use that, it sounds absolutely crazy. One I was going to mention in the last video but couldn't get footage for was being able to have 3 Sanctuary Guardians in their boss room if you skip the first one in New Game Plus and use glitches to defeat Artorias first. Here's some that I tried getting footage for, I just couldn't get these things to work properly. So, Witch Beatrice can apparently cast Chameleon when you summon her. I don't know if this is actually possible or it's like coded for her to use it, but for some reason it just doesn't work. But yeah, Witch Beatrice can apparently use Chameleon. I've never seen it before. I have heard about this before from somewhere. I don't know where I've heard it from. And Merca said they tried to do it as well, and they couldn't get it to work either. But this is a thing that can supposedly happen. And something I noticed, I went to go try this myself. I created a new character. I ran over there to summon her for the Moonlight Butterfly. And instead of going to the boss, I tried to get her to get out of the building that you summon her in. And she just will not leave that one specific corner that you summon her in behind the plant. And it doesn't matter if there's enemies around, it doesn't matter if there's no enemies around, it doesn't matter if you leave the building and walk for like 10 minutes, she will not follow you whatsoever. She's only programmed to apparently just stay in that one square and then move up the staircase to the boss room. Really strange behavior for an NPC like that. Because normally when you summon, the NPCs follow right behind you. It's very odd that Witch Beatrice just, stands there. He also mentioned the child model for her in the game files, but I don't often talk about cut or unused content. I feel like that's stuff that everybody already knows about. Maybe not, maybe not. But yeah, I couldn't get her to cast Chameleon, sadly. I couldn't get this to work either, but apparently if you stay in the Moonlight Butterfly's area long enough, and I don't know if the boss needs to be alive or not, but if you stay there long enough, the audio starts to break, graphics, visual stuff starts to break. I stayed in there for around 7 minutes or so while the boss was still alive, and I didn't see anything strange except for the, I don't know, little dangly things coming off the Moonlight Butterflies just start to freak out a little bit, but I think that's pretty normal. Yeah, I couldn't get this one to work. Apparently if you stay in there long enough, stuff just starts to absolutely break. I assume that it means the boss music, because if ambient noise starts to break, that would be a little bit odd. Don't know what would cause that, but yeah. Now on to the Dark Souls 2 mysteries. So the first one we're going to be talking about is probably one of the most mysterious ones, to me at least. It's the blue flames in Bejewel's mansion. Now obviously there has been discussions whether you need to be in a certain new game to have these activate, if it's possible to use bonfire aesthetics. So you can use bonfire aesthetics to do this. It just counts the same as New Game Plus. Both of those work. So to get these blue flames to appear in the Majula Mansion basement, Normally they're just red ones. It signifies certain bosses you've beaten, but it also just signifies bonfires as well, for some reason. It's not just bosses. So it starts with a red flame, then it becomes blue, and I looked this up online. Some people say it's New Game plus 7, bonfire intensity plus like 8. It's actually plus 10, I believe. I didn't check if it was plus 9, but I'm assuming it's plus 10 because that's when I first saw it appear. I checked 8, it didn't appear at 8. So I believe it's bonfire intensity plus 10 that you need in order to see the blue flame. The easiest one for me anyway, I just went to the Rotten, and I defeated the Rotten 10 times. Actually, no, I defeated it 9 times, but just the fact that the bonfire intensity was plus 10 is what mattered. Yeah, a blue flame appears if the bonfire intensity is plus 10. Considering how rushed the development of Dark Souls 2 was with the changing of directors and everything, the changing of the entire script, it always amazes me that there's secrets like this in here. Whether they do something or not, I have no idea. That's been a speculation point for a long time, whether the blue flames actually do something or not. I don't think they do, but it is fun to think about. Yeah, they add Easter eggs in the game, like the pickaxe, where you have to lead that one pig down the path, like a very long ways away. And it's just, you get a pickaxe for it. He'll dig in the ground. He'll get you the pickaxe. The blue flames is something similar to that, except, the pickaxe Easter egg actually gives you something, obviously. I know everybody knows about some of these, but I'm just going to talk about some of the more common, well-known ones anyway. This is the giant face in the memory of Jay, where the giant lord is. So, there's this one giant laying on the ground right near the beginning of the area. Not in the tunnel, but on the outside where those giant fireballs are coming down from. So there's this giant with a face, and it has very spiky teeth as well. Most likely a leftover from earlier development when the giants actually had faces and everything. There's a lot of concept art showing them with very generic looking faces, which I think making the giants faceless was the right direction. It makes them very unique, actually. You see like a large tall figure with a hole in their face, you just think of Dark Souls 2. Very, very good choice on their part. But that's about it for this one, I guess. I don't really have much to say. As far as I know, there's no other giants like this in the game. For some reason, I thought for the longest time you could actually see this yourself in the skybox without using some sort of no-clip or anything like that, but in the Majula skybox, you can see some kind of unknown location in the distance. I'll see if I can get a picture of it or a screenshot up on the screen. So, this could either be Ilium Lois. I heard someone say it was the Undead Crypt. I have no idea what this is. It's kind of behind the Forest of the Fallen Giants, like way behind. It looks like some kind of giant wall. That's why I think it's Ilium Lois. It was probably planned to be in the game before the DLCs anyway. This one is about the Eye of the Priestess that you get in Ilium Lois, so this is actually really bizarre. This has no effect on any other things outside of the DLC in the standard game, but if you have Scholar of the First Sin and you have the Eye of the Priestess, it actually makes those half-invisible enemies in the game that you see in the Shaded Woods and, around all those curse jars and the Lion Knights, they will all become visible with this Eye of the Priestess, which is very strange. They made this change just for the Scholar of the First Sin. I don't know why they would do this. It's a really neat change, though. It's just, you would think that, it actually affecting these would, just be part of the game mechanics where they're kind of coded the same way as the invisible enemies in Ilium Lois, but apparently not. This key item only has an effect on Scholar of the First Sin outside of the DLC. This one was more well known around the release of the game, but you can actually invade in the Dark Chasm, and the invader will look just like the other enemies around in there. It's just, the Dark Chasm is a strange area in general. It's only used in the Pilgrims of the Dark Covenant and to fight Dark Lurker. At least I think that's what that boss's name was. But yeah, the invader will look just like the enemies around the area. It just has this dark blue look. It won't be a regular red invader, it will just be blue. And I don't think this one is actually that well known. I don't think that you get anything for invading down there. I don't think you get any additional items. I have no idea. I wonder if it's possible to actually... I don't think you can summon people down there. I would have probably seen that before if that was possible. It's really strange stuff. Like I said earlier in the video, I don't tend to talk about cut or unused content as I feel everybody already knows about it. But this one is actually really interesting. So there's 2 unused rings in the game that look very similar. They're the same sprite, just with different colors of the no death and no bonfire rings that you get for, completing the game without dying and completing the game without using a bonfire. And there's these 2 unused rings that would have, I'd assume, acted similar to those ones, considering they look the exact same, just with different colors. So the interesting part about this is, how would you actually obtain these? What kind of challenge would you have to do? And I assume what the rings would do is maybe make your headpiece invisible, maybe your body, I don't know. But yeah, what kind of challenge would you have to do to get these 2 rings? So it can either be no hit, which I don't think that would have been a thing. Who knows, maybe. It could have been no healing, or, maybe not using the Estus flask, I'm not sure. Because, we have no death, no bonfire. What else would there be with this one? In every version of the game except the Portuguese one, the Majula obelisk says the letters are worn beyond recognition, so you can't actually read it. But only in the Portuguese one it says, the giants cross the seas perhaps to return home, or something similar to that. I don't have any theories on this one, but it might have to do with an earlier script of the game. We all know how different the game was during development. It's just really interesting that only that version of the game has unique dialogue on it that you can actually read. I heard somewhere that it would have possibly changed with the DLC's release. Like the obelisk would say something different around the release of the DLCs. I don't think there's any proof for that, but it is just really interesting. This one is about the Demon of Song boss room. So this is actually a really weird boss room in general. It kind of looks like Ash Lake. If you look above, you can see all the arch trees, vines, and everything. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but it does look really similar to it. Even has that same kind of aesthetic with the light shining through and everything. Yeah, if you look up around the ceiling, you can actually find one of those orange-colored moths with the spots on them up there. And it does not respawn, so if you kill this moth, you get a old Radiant Life Gem and you can't see it again. Just hanging, you have to look up really high. You have to kind of angle your camera correctly to see this one. My husband Wolfie found out about this one as we were playing through the game together. Really interesting stuff. And that's going to be it for all of the topics. I am working on another video, that's why this one was kind of short. Dark Souls 2 has so many, mysteries, oddities, and rumors to talk about that I could just go on all day with this, but if you want to see more like this, leave a like I said earlier, and yeah. You can leave a comment if you have your own mysteries to share, and I will read it, and God, Jesus Christ bless you, your day, your week, your month, your life, and I will see you all later. Farewell.